Hi everyone and welcome back to this week's video. Last week we left you down at the workshop with a carcass for the kitchen built in the boot, and this week it's time to finish it off. We've got a few drawers to make and a lot of painting to do, and then finally it can all be assembled together and Alex can do his best Nigella impression cooking me up some sultry camp meals from the rear of the car. Once this is done, it is the final job on the list, which is to fit the new wheels and tyres, and then finally we can go and test this bad boy or girl out. Sorry Norma. Unfortunately Alex is solo at the workshop this week because I've got lots to be getting on with, but I will catch up with you guys at the end to see how he's got on. So without further ado, let's send you down to the workshop with him.
Watch as it breaks down beside us, when we've risked everything for life. On the outside, always looking in, we'll still hold on to all we could have been, to all we could have been. Would you still take me for a fool if I let give it all away for you? So take me home.
So we've just arrived down at the workshop. Tonight we're going to aim to get the drawers finished, get the drawer fronts done, and maybe get paint on. But we'll have to see how we go for time on that one. So let's get inside, let's get unlocked, and let's crack on. Okay, so now we've made the drawer fronts, it's time to get them glued and nailed on. So let's get on with that now. It fits like an absolute champ. Right, let's get some more nails in that. And then number 2. So you get the gist now of how that's going to work. So we'll put cans down here, and then who knows what in this one, and I think we're going to have another 2 to go in here, because obviously we've got the can to go at the bottom, and then we've got the sink at the top, and then there's sort of a middle ground here, which I think we need to make use of. But yeah, happy with how that's coming out. Now I think I've got some handles somewhere on the shelves over there, so at some point we might repurpose some handles onto this. But to be honest, you don't need it, you just sort of come out and grab. And yeah, happy with that. Time to crack on with the 2 upper drawers, because I fancy doing something a bit different than these. So these are the drawer runners that we're going to use. I've sat them on top of the wooden drawer runners just so you can see exactly how it works with an easy demo. So there are 3 section slider which goes back in with soft close and push to latch. So they're going to go in there. So one thing obviously is this is more than 12mm. So what I think I'll have to do is just make some little side pieces for the drawers just to build out that bulk. And it also means that we can go into the drawers with a little bit more bite as well. We'll get some side pieces made up, and we'll get some more pieces in for the hob, which is going to go in the top of the cabinet just there. So let's get on with that now. got another drawer to make come off the bottom of this, and then we've got another drawer to go in here, which will be the sink. But yeah, well happy with how it's coming out. Okay, so chopping board is now in. So if I press that, it opens both the drawer and the hob all the way out like that. So you then end up with about a 700mm double drawer that comes out. And obviously we've still got the washing up bowl to go here. Not a bad evening's progress to end up with that and those 2 drawers in here as well. But I think that's going to be the end of tonight. So this is night number 1 starting on this. So yeah, good progress. Really happy with how we're coming along. Tomorrow night we'll get the sink drawer put in, and we'll get potentially another drawer on this side here put in as well, just to maximise space really. And then once we've got all the drawers in, it's time for paint. And at that point, it's closing in really quick on being finished. So I'm really happy with that. But yeah, let's head home. I'll pick you up again tomorrow night. So we're down the workshop for night 2. Now, I've made the executive decision that I'm not going to show you guys the rest of the woodwork, purely because stuff you've seen before, and I think between the last video and this video, you've probably seen enough. So what I'm going to do instead is show you what we're doing for our electrical system. So while I'm doing the woodworking here, future me is going to run you through the plans for the electrical system. So let's get into that now. So this is what we're using to power the build. This is the AllPowers S2000 Pro. This came with a 200 watt solar panel, and it benefits from having a 2400 watt inverter that can pulse all the way up to 4000 watts. And from my understanding, if I remember the tech specs right, you can put 650 watts of solar through this, I think. You've got 2 USB-Cs, 4 USB-As, a DC 12 volt sort of cigarette lighter socket, XT60 where you plug in your solar panel, and then you have 4 AC outlets on the top of this. Now, at the weekend, we'll cut some footage in a minute, we were powering all sorts off this. We had a George Foreman going off it, we had a coffee maker going off it, like a little Tassimo thing. We ran a projector, we ran a phone charger, and we ran an Amazon Fire Stick, and we watched the final of the Grand Tour. Again, I'll put some footage of this in as I'm sort of talking. And what's left on here at the minute is 31%. Now, we charged this multiple times with a 200 watt solar panel over the weekend, and to be honest, it was rock solid. It was absolutely brilliant for what we needed. Now, I know full well that when it comes to an induction hob, which this one's rated for 2000 watt, that's going to be pushing it. But I'm intrigued to see how it goes, because everyone's raving about the AllPowers and everyone loves a power bank. Now, one thing I do want to say is that I had zero intentions of getting a power bank on this channel. I've watched a lot of power bank videos. I understand why people do power bank videos, but I always said I wouldn't get one unless I had a use case. Now, I have a use case, which is to put a Folkstar battery in this, which is what I would have done, just because I think they are best bang for buck, and an entire DC system and everything else. You'd have been getting up to a fair cost. The other thing is, obviously, as the badge says, it's a Mini, so there is very little space. So what this is probably going to do is live on the back seat, and we'll have the cable coming through the back seat for the induction hob, which will sit and plug in to these. Now, as long as the sides are uncovered, which is where the cooling fans are, there's no issues with that. And this is an absolutely brilliant device. I mean, you press and hold, and there you go, beep, you've got your AC on, so you've got your inverter on. So now turn the inverter on, you can turn on your DC. Now what's interesting is, if you press and hold this, it puts on IoT. And the AllPowers actually has an app. So you can go in, if I find it on my phone, go to AllPowers. Now that's showing as it's on. So if I click plus Bluetooth device, next step, AllPowers S2000 Pro, and tap that. Then immediately you can see exactly what percentage it's on. See if I can get this to focus. You can see what percentage it's on, and you can turn on and off the DC and AC components of the AllPowers. Now that is really useful. It is only Bluetooth, it's obviously short range, but for example, I can tap on and off on the AC and DC, and I can see the remaining time, as well as the input and output wattages, which is really useful, especially if it's on the back seat or something like that. You can check it while you're outside, you don't have to get up, get to the machine. I know that's a lazy point, but a bit like Bluetooth batteries in a van, like the Fogstar stuff, or your shunts. Everyone loves an app. So AllPowers has one, and you can control the device from it, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So I can't wait to test this out along the way. I do just want to say thank you to AllPowers for supplying this to us. We're really looking forward to having a play with it and seeing what it can do, especially with an induction hob. You've got to have some creature comforts, you know? You've got to make it like little Norm, essentially. So, yeah, thank you to AllPowers. We can't wait to put this to use. So it's now getting on for much later in the evening. However, the carcass is finished. So, let's spin you around and let's show you around. So we'll start with a far away shot so you can sort of see what it looks like. Obviously we've still got paint to do. But yeah, you come in top drawer. We've now got our sink, which is very nice. Just lifts in, lifts out. Again, push to close. We've got another drawer here. We've then got Lifesaver in the bottom. Can drawer, pan drawer. So we've then got our pull-out chopping board and our induction hob all nicely nestled away in there. Now what I have done under the induction hob is I've drilled little tiny holes in there, and they basically just align the hob, which means that once it's on there and in them, it doesn't move around. And then all you do, push the end, and there you go. It's all away. So I think it's time for paint. Okay, so we're going to try painting with a gun, just because with emulsion we've never done it before, so why not? Watered it down so it's a nice runny consistency. So yeah, let's give it a go. I've set the camera up quite a way away, just so I don't want the camera covered in overspray. Okay, so everything is now in colour. I am really happy with how that's come out. We'll let it dry, come back down tomorrow, put it all back together and put it in the car. At that point, there isn't really too much more to do. The last thing was getting colour on it, and to be honest, it looks a lot better now it's in colour. That's one thing I am quite happy with. But yeah, let's see how it dries. So, starting to get the carcass back in. So we've got the last drawers to get back in and the appliances to get back in. So let's do that now. And that is all the drawers in, all the appliances in. Ignore here, it needs another coat. I got a bit caught short and the mix I used on that first section wasn't quite right. So the other thing I'll own up to is the fact that I forgot to paint the top side of that drawer. So that's annoying, but I can touch that in when I do that drawer. But other than that, you've got your chopping board here, you've got your induction hob here, you've got your sink here, which looks perfect. You've got lifesaver down here, and then your attachment for the shower just plugs in here. So you pull the sink out, comes straight up the top there, and you have your kitchen. And now this is important because you can use the sink and the hob at the same time.
Hanging around after last orders, we're still so far from home. It's like we're burning into embers, as the fire burns a cold world. As the days keep rolling on, we're living in hell again. But I still hold you in my heart when these days have been and gone. Ooh, 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 ooh. As time goes by, won't keep heading round the circles, never letting go, never letting go.
So that concludes the kitchen build in the boot of the Mini. Now, as it probably came across in the video, my drawer units usually don't go to plan, but I was very happy with how this one came out. What do you reckon?
I think you've done a pretty good job, hasn't it, guys? Because it looks like it is meant to be there. I think because it's black, it sort of fits in with everything else in the boot. And for a sort of OEM aftermarket mini countryman camper look, I'm quite pleased with it to be using it still as my daily.
Yeah, I mean, the benefit is with this, we've managed to keep the back seats, which, although it wasn't a necessity, we take Jess's grandparents around a fair bit. So not having to be the night before, right, let's go down the workshop, let's empty out everything out the boot, let's empty out the build and all that kind of stuff. It just allows us that the car is still a car, because ultimately you drive it to work every week, you use it to move your grandparents around, I use it to go to work sometimes when I'm not using Norm. So yeah, keeping it as a car was kind of like a key part for us.
Yeah.
You did, however, get your first comment this week from your boss at work, who noticed the Mini.
It's not exactly subtle, is it? I mean, let's be honest.
I don't know, compared to the van.
No. It's not subtle, but it is what it is, and to be honest, I don't really care.
No, I mean, I think with keeping everything sort of black on the roof, and obviously it's a white and black car, it kind of all, bar the fact there's a massive roof tent on there, it all kind of blends in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's turned out pretty good. We have one video left in the build series, which is next week, which is the wheels, which will be the kind of like icing on the cake. It'll just give you that little cherry on top because it'll completely transform what the outside looks like. So yeah, I'm quite excited for that.
Yeah, and once that's done, we can then finally actually go and take her out and test it out and use the sink and the hob and fill it with my cans and use the lifesaver. So it'll be something completely different from Norm, won't it? And it's a long time
Complete
since
opposite
we've
end.
camped in anything. Well, since we've camped in a tent, it's like at least 5 years.
We stayed in a tent.
Probably more than 5 years.
We stayed in a tent once in the New Forest for 3 nights. We argued the entire time, and we've never camped in a tent since.
So testing this out could be quite an interesting video, actually, guys.
Yeah, I might take the van just in case I get kicked out halfway through the night.
It'll be fine.
But yeah, we're super happy with how this has come out. Obviously, I know you guys have probably got a question around when I've said let's talk about the electrical, and the only thing I've put in is the AllPowers power bank. You're probably thinking, where's your food going? So we haven't actually managed to sort out a fridge yet, have we?
No.
We couldn't decide, or they cost too much, or just a plethora of other reasons. We have an old 12-volt cool box down at the workshop, which we might throw on the back seat. But we're currently trying to figure something out with a company which we're working with on something else in the future. So we may end up having something for this alongside something for Norm, which we're very excited for, but that's going to be a good sort of month at least away, is that. But yeah, so the fridge is on the way. We're not entirely sure what we're going to do yet, but we'll get there. So I'm just excited to start using it, to be honest. I was running out of steam because we'd done quite a lot with the roof, but seeing the kitchen finished and turning the hob on the other night and all the rest of it, as you saw in the B-roll footage, kind of got me really excited to start using it. Yeah. So we need to get on with it as well, because as we're filming this, we're sort of live in a sense that this is now Friday night, the video goes out Sunday. So the weather obviously is going to start changing. We're lucky we've got the weather we have.
We're at the end of September now, heading into winter.
Yeah.
Although we have got sleeping bags left over from the Arctic that are rated down to, I think, -30.
Yeah, I think so.
We can use those, but I'd rather it wasn't absolutely freezing when we use the tent.
I'd also rather it wasn't chucking it down. Purely because I wouldn't like to find out in the middle of the night if the tent is waterproof. I'd like to find out at my own leisure if the tent is waterproof.
Yeah, I think we'll probably hold a hose on it first before we go and take it out and sleep in
What's the fun in that? So that's where we're going to leave you guys for this week.
And thank you so much, guys, for watching, and everybody who has watched this series so far. We are so grateful for everybody who tunes in each week.
Definitely.
So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we will catch you next week.